extraordinaire, the GMologist.
All right, I feel like I need to add one more segment in after I have recorded. There are potential spoilers ahead. So I would really love for you to listen to my talk about Operation Ocelot. I could definitely use the feedback from the zeitgeist, your collective brains, to see what you think of my adventure that I'm trying to develop, Operation Ocelot. If you ever want to play in it, well, it could be a spoiler. Maybe you won't play in it. It's Achtung Cthulhu. You might not like that game, but I appreciate you listening. That'd be great. For the Firebrands game, well, it's not really a spoiler because everything is sort of randomly generated at the table, and the story can take the form of anything. So it's not really a spoiler for that segment. But if you ever play Magical Kitty Save the Day and want to play the Mars Colony book, it's sort of a spoiler, but also that game is a sandbox. So again, the GM can come up with a number of stories from that game. It's a very simple mechanic anyway. So I don't know, but I feel perhaps that I should put a spoiler wada. I'm starting to talk like free throw with my. Anyway, a spoiler warning for those of you who appreciate that. Anyway, on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GMologist Presents. This one may or may not be a short one, depending on how long I ramble. But I just wanted to talk about the 3 games I played, well, one of which I ran, and 2 of which I played as a player. I played in all of them, because, right, the GM is also a player, correct? In any case, these I ran or played as a player. Wow, that's pretty hard. Anyway, 3 games I played, let's say, at this event called Fwd Fest, run by Fwd RPG, which is a collection of GMs who run a variety of games in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and Central Texas. It's pretty cool. We don't get money to play. It's a nonprofit organization, and any money that they do make goes back into supporting games and other things. I'm sure they have various causes that they give to, but I know it's a nonprofit and it's really fun to be a part of. So in any case, so they wanted to get together and do this thing called Fwd Fest. So invite people who are associated with Fwd RPG and then, their friends to come and run and play games. So this was up in Dallas, and we played at Common Ground Games off of Inwood Road in Dallas, so kind of north central Dallas. And it's a really awesome gaming store. I should actually put, I'm putting Fwd RPG and what they believe in, and you could sign up or sign up to be a GM if you want in your various region. It doesn't matter. I know they have another quote unquote, I don't know if it's chapter is the right word, but I will just say quote unquote chapter in California somewhere, or is it Seattle? I don't know, on the West Coast. And they're always looking to add more GMs who believe in their sort of forward GM philosophy, which is really to be, run the games, run them honestly, run them with the players having fun and everyone at the table having fun in mind, which I think is pretty cool. So like I said, I played in 3 games. The first game I ran, and that was an Achtung Cthulhu game called Operation Ocelot. I will also say that 4GM really, while everyone knows that the world's most popular game, Dungeons & Dragons, is very prevalent, 4GM tries to play lots of different games, including indie games, including games in the OSR, including games that are classic D&D to newer versions of Dungeons & Dragons, and not necessarily the WotC D&D, which has really, truth be told, has taken over the gaming hobby by storm with Adventures League and other things. So they run a lot of different games. And I was able to run sort of a play test that I'm calling Operation Ocelot. That's the running title. I don't know if that'll be the final title, but it is for Achtung Cthulhu. So Achtung Cthulhu is World War II fighting against the Nazis and Cthulhu and mythos, preventing them from gaining power through the mythos, really. And I set this game, Operation Ocelot, in the Caribbean, in Costa Rica, during the Battle of the Caribbean. It This is where the Nazi U-boats were attempting to sink Allied shipping in the Caribbean to prevent trade over into Europe and to cause general havoc. So in the previously I ran this at BSVCon, and it went really well, but I took lessons from what I learned at BSVCon and applied them to this game. Also, it's very different running it live, and I had made, I printed out all the little tokens and cut them out. Well, Amy actually cut them out. I can't cut straight, but Amy helped me cut them out, and I had a lot of handouts to show to the players and was prepared to do, if necessary, like a whiteboard if we needed like combat or like a kind of tactical type of combat. So I thought it went really well at Fwd Fest. What I did is I changed the intro scene to putting them on a torpedo boat, the USS Erie, or patrol boat, the USS Erie, and that boat's mission was to patrol and combat German submarines. So, and I did have a scene where I asked the players to give an intro, what they're doing on and about the ship, what the ship was. I gave them their mission that they had gotten 2 days earlier in Belize City, and they're about a day out from their destination, Puerto Limon in Costa Rica. And so then I had them introduce themselves, and then I had them beat to quarters, or there was the ship, the USS Erie, beat to quarters, and then the players went to in various locations because a U-boat was servicing nearby, which was a little odd. The U-boat was being attacked by what the players recognized as deep ones and some sort of serpent under the control of the deep ones. I kind of made it akin to like a discolored or off-color, darker, shadowy, shadow-scaled roosterfish. I don't know if you look up roosterfish, it's this giant like eel that lives in the depths of the ocean. So anyway, so they actually didn't engage. They fired at the U-boat. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I wanted to give players agency, and in the scene I want them to give them agency to see if how they will deal with the strange situation. It's kind of a red herring, but I'm thinking of integrating it more into the story, and I'll get to that. So then they get to Puerto Limon, and then they have a fun encounter. Like both times the party split because one of the party members is this guy named David Gregg or Dan Gregg or something, and he has mafia connections. So the players in both times asked, "Oh, will there be any mafia in Puerto Limon?" And sure, why not? You let the players run with it. So half the party went to go talk to the mafia and maybe gain supplies and intel about the interior in Costa Rica and the smuggling operations there, and see what they knew about Nazi activity. And the other two went to meet their contact and get supplies for the journey inland. And both times I'd had both times I had a twist. And what happened was a fight in Puerto Limon against SS troopers. And I thought it went really well. Both times is pretty cool. It does show that Achtung Cthulhu is quite deadly. So some players took wounds. If you take X number of wounds and a small number of wounds at it, then you're defeated. You're not necessarily killed. That's up to what the players decide if they defeat an opponent, and the opponents decide if they defeat a player. Usually it ends up being sort of capture. It's a pulp game, right? So a pulp-minded game, so death is not necessarily the end result of a defeat. So it was both times the players have loved the interaction and the fight when it came to it, or both groups, that is, really enjoyed the interaction in Puerto Limon and sort of fighting the SS trooper station there. So I thought it went really well. They went into the interior. They found some clues along the way. They get to this hidden Nazi airbase, and they see that these two Nazi groups, which are really rivals, these occult groups, Nut Wolf and Black Sun, are fighting it out for control of this airbase. Their mission was to destroy the airbase, destroy any way to get whatever one of these groups, they didn't know which group was involved in their initial mission briefing. Just some Nazi occult group had been spotted in that area and was doing something. They had a plan. So they blow up the tower, they blow up the base. They're pretty sneaky about it, and this happened in both games. There is definitely chances for complications to happen. but the player characters avoided the complications. So they could have engaged a Black Sun and or Not Wolf troopers. And then they did see like there was a path, and they had gotten intel. They had actually captured an SS trooper and interrogated him. They captured the person who betrayed him in Puerto Limon and interrogated them, and they found out that Not Wolf was doing something further in the interior at this old pre-Columbian ruin site. So that's where the player characters wanted to go after this, after they kind of demolished a couple planes and the tower, and excitedly stole a German half-track. So they have like this jungle truck, typical, say, World War II era jungle truck, and then with big tires, and then they have a half-track, an SFKZ, probably like a SFKZ 120, the one with the MG 34 on it. So they got a machine gun. The characters load up in it and head to the interior, further into the interior, up the mountains and over the jungles towards a pre-Columbian, over the mountains and through the jungle, that is, to this pre-Columbian site. On the way, though, they encounter like a stormtrooper, which is like a German mecha, so the kind of lieutenant or big boss potentially in the area. They decide to engage as they go up the side of the mountain on these switchbacks. The stormtrooper like leaps and attacks them. It's a really cool fight. The players really enjoyed it. It's kind of a tough fight, but the player characters with gunfire and using, ramming into the sort of German mecha ended up really being a really cool fight. Then they get to the site and they see that the Not Wolf is trying to dig using their sort of weird science diggers, like laser diggers, to dig into this mound, and the player characters stop it. And they get a rumbling. So what I did is I kind of added, here's where I added like the sort of deep one angle. And then I had one of the players knew about forbidden knowledge, kind of really leaned into that, saw that there were this area, this isthmus was once underwater, and this could have been an old, deep one temple or something. Very odd architecture, although much of it eroded, and strange Ichthian themed sigils everywhere, symbols. So then there's a rumbling and an earthquake, and I did this really cool thing that I learned from Shea Webster one time when I played in a Traveler game, like a countdown mechanic that he uses, where if you roll like over a certain number, you have a pool of dice, and if you roll a certain numbers, then you take the dice off, usually like 5 or 6, right? So you start taking the dice off, and the players kind of realize, meta gaming, that there's a countdown, something's going to happen unless they do something. So player characters try to prevent it, and eventually, so really there's like this Cthulhu monster buried under here that the Germans want to release, capture, control, what have you, and the player characters realize that, and then instead of waiting for it to pop up and fight it, they decided to perform a ritual. There's a couple of cultists in the group perform a ritual to calm the creature down, and because they had this black book, they were able to do that. So it turned out really well. Had a great time running this game, and I'm hoping. So the cool thing is that Modifius 2D20, they have like a world builder program, and you can kind of create Achtung Cthulhu scenarios, submit them, and then they'll put them on drive-through. So that's the end goal for this, and I hope I can do it. I got a couple iterations, tests in the books, and kind of got to sit down and write it up, distill my notes, all the things that are handwritten in my journal, and write them up. So anyway, so that is Operation Ocelot. A few more things to add to Operation Ocelot, just some tidbits I forgot when I was recording, but Amy played in it. It's always good to have a ringer in your game. She had not played Operation Ocelot before, but had played Achtung Cthulhu. I had some players who thought, oh, Cthulhu, but have never played Achtung Cthulhu. And one player who'd played Modifius 2D20 and had Octoon Cthulhu, was very intrigued by it, but had never run it or played it. And I think they had a lot of fun. So Amy played Corporal Sarah Rogers, who is Australian commando, and this character has a dog named Crook. And yes, Crook got to take down a couple Nazis, so that was very satisfying. I thought it was the coolest thing that happened at the table was there was this one player. We had two occultists in the group. One, Agent Daphne Rogers, British-born, scholarly occultist, kind of almost a leader, co-leader of the mission group, a member of Section M, which is a British sort of special forces that deals with the occult, and then another one named Sven Nielsen, who was a Norwegian resistance fighter, also an occultist. One of the coolest expressions was when Nielsen first cast the Hammer of Thor against a couple of German SS, and they were toasted, they were annihilated. It's a pretty powerful spell, and he took him out, and he was like, "Whoa, I guess I got some cool powers." So it's good. It's neat to see that at the table, that kind of expression and engagement, that they really thought that what they did was cool and weren't expecting it. So it had fun. Also, the player characters ramming into the mech was really fun, and machine gunning the Sturmtrooper, which was the German mech, not Wolf mech. So it was really fun. We had a great time. So the next game I played was run by Eric Babin, who sort of is one of the officers office. I don't know. It seems there's a group, a trio. I don't know them all. Maybe there's more than a trio. Maybe it's very egalitarian. But he was my point of contact when I first got associated with Fwd RPG and the Fwd GM group. So it's Eric Babin, and he ran a game called Fwd Mech Academy, and it was using the Mobile Suit Zero Firebrand's rule system, and it was very akin to me to Fiasco, in that it was a lot of like collaborative storytelling. There's not a single game master. There's someone who just sort of facilitates, and since he knew how the game ran, sort of helped us create the game. And it's like this futuristic era where kind of, I would say the setting is kind of like BattleTech. These houses and they're kind of control the verse, but there's a rebellion, and then there's mercenaries as well that all ride and drive mechs. So we kind of put together a cute little story. I don't know, it's a cute little story. It's a very intriguing story, actually, facilitated by all the characters. And it was pretty random what we came up with, but it was cool. It started at a sort of nobles ball, and then there was an attempted assassination, but the attempted assassination was really a diversion for my character to steal some noble tech, a mech, like a stealth mech, and then the mercenary chased me and almost captured me, but I kind of won the chase. However, in the final scene, the mercenary followed me and has Mecha jump across a cliff, and he missed, and I showed, because my character was kind of kind as I developed, I helped the mercenary up and didn't let him fall to his death. So then later, as I was sharing the tech with my co-conspirator, so that we could have this, so the rebels could have the stealth tech, then the mercenary's there because he doesn't know what's going on, and of course he would like to get stealth tech for his people too, because he saw that we had it. And so we're like in this in this space orbital colony that does a lot of mining and manufacturing, right? This is a hotbed of rebel sympathy. But then their noble from the original scene, or the noble in the group, or the noble among the players, a player made like a noble mech or mech warrior, kind of got wind of what was going on, thought that the mercenary had betrayed him, and brought his men to go stop him and capture him. So we're in this bar, like a rebel bar, and the guy sends his like dragoons, and a fight ensues. But they're in rebel territory. But really, the noble's after the mercenary and kind of impales him. Uh, I followed them into like the kitchen where they're fighting, and eventually I'm able to kind of take out the noble as well. Um, and yeah, and then the rebels, of course, come and drive away the noble dragoons with it's like a fighting between mechs. Actually, the mercenaries brought their mechs to help destroy the dragoons, then turned their attention on the rebels. But then the other player got the rebels, organized and gathered, and kind of drove away the mercenaries. So yeah, one for the rebels, and and it was good. But that kind of story all came together. Very minimum dice were only used like in an oracle way, yes or no. Does this happen? Yes or no. And so like 1d6, higher or lower, kind of almost you could use any dice, right? But 1d6 or ubiquity dice would be perfect for this. So yeah, I had a really good time running it. Short and sweet, but we came up with a really neat little story, neat little like mini adventure, and I thought that was pretty fun. So I want to try to track down the game system that we used, a Mobile Suit Zero Firebrands, and you can actually, like, it does have rules to create your little Lego mechs to fight them. So there's other scenarios other than what we did, and we kind of put together like to start with the solo, and then you work your way around the table, and everyone kind of does like a little scenario that engages one or more of the players, and then at the end we had a free for all. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I was told by a wise person once named Jason Hobbs. I guess he's wise. He's got white hair, right? And like a white, kind of whitish, peppery goatee, and he's shaved his head bald, so he's like a little older, almost like a monk. And this wise man once said, when you go to a con, you should always play a game that you've never played before. And I've never played this. The next game I also played, I'd never played before. So I will get to that. And it was a game of Mystic Kitties Save the World, but this was Mystic Kitties Save the Mars Colony. So I'll pause here and I'll get right back to it. Okay, officially the last game I played is Magical Kitties Save the Day Mars Colony. That was the adventure that we played. And this was run by GM Tyler. I'd never met him before. I met him there at Fwd Fest. He's part of the Fwd RPG group up there in Dallas. And I really enjoyed this game. Very minimal rules, much akin to, I feel like, what does it seem like? It's made by Atlas Games. Comes in box sets, and you have like the original box set is like a town, and they have various supplements. But the character sheet seems akin to like I want to say, it's one of those games that has like 3 stats. I don't remember what other game kind of is like that, but you have fierce, cunning, and cute. It is a game about cats, magical cats, right? And this was really fun. We were sent to Mars, so there's some things that all the cats have magic, all the cats have a quirk, all the cats have like a talent as well, and you just roll. I think it's a d6, and then you have bonus dice depending on if you're using your talent, quirk, or magic. You cannot cast magic in front of humans because they don't know that you're magical, because that would just break their verisimilitude and cause them to go insane or something. And cats can talk to each other. They can talk to other animals. So we were on Mars, and we had various misadventures on Mars. A lot of it kind of surrounding an artifact that we found that caused a technology to go quirky. It had messed up the humans' like base that was there, and one of the cats, Amy's character, latched onto it, and it was really hard to get it away from Amy's character. Her character was also like superstitious, so when good things started happening to her character because of the necklace, she didn't want to get rid of it. And my character was stubborn, so I wanted to get after it. There was almost some like kind of PvP type of thing, and all the other player characters wanted to get after it. But I guess eventually, when one character tried to pilfer it and was rolling like 6 dice and got no successes, then they said, well, I guess Amy's character, whatever Cindy Lou Who, she named her cat Cindy Lou Who. I was Lord Grayson. Um, I guess the fates were deciding that Amy's character got to keep this necklace. So eventually, we also encountered these like weird little Martian-made robots. I guess of the leftover things from Mars. We, and I think I guess I should have prefaced this by, oh, maybe I'll do it at the beginning. Anyway, so sorry, too late for spoilers. I will put it earlier in the podcast, I hope, if I remember. But anyway, this is a published adventure, so, but it's kind of like a sandbox, right? So various things can happen, and the GM kind of decides ahead of time or rolls randomly what might happen. We listened to what the humans had a plan. We heard that there was a human that went missing, like a geologist, and then some of our humans were related to that geologist. So then we all kind of snuck out of the base, or went with our humans to go find their mother. We ended up in this weird sort of cave system with underground water. And we fought Martian spiders, and we found the missing woman. And it turns out that the key, or the necklace, was a key. And this key helped us to find the secret way out of the situation, of this cave system. And then it turns out it was a key to help to use these little Martian robots to do stuff. And these Martian robots, in combination with our magical powers out of the side of the human, were able to shore up the base to prevent, a catastrophe, which was a coming Martian sandstorm. So we really had a really good time. I would like to track down this game, and it'd be really fun to play, like at conventions or as one-shots here and there. So it's a Magical Kitty Save the Day by Atlas Games. I'll try to put these things in the show notes if I remember. So I got to put Octoon Cthulhu, just the base book, because it's my own thing. The mobile firebrand thingy, and then Magical Kitties Save the Day. So I guess that's all. That's all, folks. Those are the games I played. Amy and I had a good time going up there. We went to a few breweries here and there, including a couple favorite breweries on the way back. One up in, I don't know where it was, one up in Georgetown, Texas, called Barking Armadillo Brewery. Really good beers, cool vibe. I bought a hat because it had a cool logo, camouflage hat. I'm a sucker for camo hats, especially camo trucker hats, and it had the logo of the Barking Armadillo. I went to another brewery just north of Austin called Fifth Element Brewing. Really cool people, metalheads, and we got to chat with them for a while about music and beer. So it was really fun outing. A lot of good food. Maybe we ate too much. It was cool that after the event, we all went to this taqueria nearby and all sat together and had some really good late night Mexican food, because that's always fun. So I had a really good time up there. It's great that I've met these 4 GM guys. I'm gonna run stuff probably with them or helping them. I also run stuff at ChupacabraCon, which is in May. I already signed up for ChupacabraCon. I want to run like 3 games there, probably a Call of Cthulhu game through the Cult of Chaos, another group. I'm another organization that runs games specifically for Chaosium up there. Maybe I won't run a Call of Cthulhu. Maybe I'll run like Pendragon, one of their Pendragon scenarios, or RuneQuest. But I also want to run a 2-part Savage Worlds thing inspired by the One Piece anime / live action show, maybe like a pirates superhero thing. So I'll probably talk about development of that in the near future. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. This has been the Geomologist Presents. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you have comments. Please shoot me a line at geomologist@gmail.com. You can leave a voice message, send it there, or a text message, and I'll type out message, whatever that's called, and I will put it on, read it on the air, play it on the air. You can also DM me, direct message me on Discord, and send me a message there, or same thing, text message. And I have a SpeakPipe account that I have linked here in the show notes. And what else do we need to tell you? Yes, TJ Drennan does the intro and outro music, and my wife, Amy Lee, who is apparently my partner in crime gaming-wise too now. She went with me to this mini con and goes with me to Chupacabra Con. So she did the cover clip art. So thank you so much. Good night and good rolling.